Hello everyone. Welcome to the fourth section of data visualization module. This is the last section in this chapter. So far, under data visualization, you learned all about the basics of data visualization and the built-in methods available in Pandas to visualize the data, and Matplotlib in the second section you learned about, third section you learned about Matplotlib library package. And in this section, you're going to learn about Seaborn. Seaborn is kind of very popular, like Matplotlib, it is very popular, but it has more, lot of packages, lot of methods available for statistical related plotting. It provides a lot of default styles, color palettes that make statistical plots more attractive. So it mostly focuses on statistical related plotting. So when we speak about statistical analysis, it's a process of understanding how variables in data set relate to each other. Okay, that's the main focus. The relationship between variables, the relationship between the columns in the data frame, how those relationships depend on other variables, how it affect other relationship between the variables, and overall information that we gain from those relationships. Okay, so these things can be conceptually can be understood very easily when we plot graph that speaks about this relationship. So Seaborn provides a lot of plotting that focuses more between the numerical data plotting, or it could be the categorical data plotting, or the combination of these two. Whatever data kind of data set that we have, Seaborn provides a lot of plotting methods. So if you recall, in Pandas, you use the kind parameter. The parameter kind help you to plot different. And in Matplotlib, to draw different plotting, we use this particular method. For example, if you want to plot histogram, you will use hist method. If you want to do scatter plot, you will use scatter method. In the previous one, Pandas, you will use kind, scatter, kind equal to hist, or you can even call the hist function, scatter function directly. In Seaborn, to import Seaborn, you have to first import the Seaborn with some nickname. So normally it will be imported as SMS. And I'm going to use the NumPy in Pandas and sometimes in Matplotlib. So I'm just importing all the packages that I need. Okay, so after importing all the packages, I'm going to run, I need one particular data set where I'm going to try all other possible options available in Seaborn to perform data visualization. So I'm going to use the default data set, which comes as part of Seaborn library. Okay, Seaborn has a lot of default data sets available. Seaborn has a lot of data sets available. Since I have already imported the package, if you want to know what are the data sets available, the default data sets that we can try, template data sets that we can try to do all those plotting, or for any kind of, and it could be anything, but most of the packages that provides the default data sets that we can try to have that hands-on practice. So to know the data sets available in Seaborn package, you can look at this, use this get underscore data underscore names. This method will help you to get the number of data sets comes with Seaborn package. Okay, in this list of data sets, I'm going to use this tips data set. Okay, to import it, since it comes with the Seaborn package, you can simply use the method called load data set and then give this name. Okay, that will load the data set. If you want to know more about Seaborn, I have given the link here. Okay, to know more about Seaborn packages and what are the methods available in Seaborn, I have given the link. You can explore this. Okay, so here in this data set, I'm going to use tips. So for that, to load the data set from Seaborn, I have to use the method load data set. And inside the parameter, I'm passing the name of the data set. And this data set will be saved in the data frame, this variable tips. Okay, and if you see, this is how the size variable means. You can simply see what are the things that is what is the data available in tips. Okay, you can see it has 244 rows, has the column total bill, tip, sex, the gender information, and the smoker or non-smoker, day, that is Sunday, Monday, and then time of the meal, and then size. Okay, so the data of tips given from the customer, okay, in a restaurant. So this data set speaks about that, and this is how it looks like. And then I'm just showing you the first file. Okay, we have just looked at the sample here. Now we are going to find the relationship between these columns, between these features. Okay, each of the column represent a kind of feature. We are going to find the relationship between two. First, before setting that, before analyzing that, Seaborn provides a lot of customization option. If you want to set, there are two kind of the style, the background style you can set. If you set dark grid, then the dark gray, the grid will appear in the dark gray. If you set white grid, then the grid will appear in white. Okay, so there are two kind of settings that you can select to customize according to your convenience or what kind of plotting that you're going to make. Based on that, you can either select dark grid or white grid. And these kind of facilities are not there in Matplotlib or Pandas. And the next one, you have noticed that how we are plotting different kind of data in Matplotlib and Pandas. To specify different kind of plotting in Seaborn, you will use this name. If real plot means relational plotting, scatter plotting, line plot, that method will give you simple line plotting. Okay, so we are going to explore relational plotting using the rel plot method, and what are the attributes that comes as part of relational plotting. And then we're going to discuss about scatter plotting with the method scatter plot, and then we're going to discuss about other kind of plotting that will support categorical data analysis, like cat plot, and the attributes available in cat plot, and then box plot. Okay, so the different kind of plotting, how we can use the plot method as it is, or how we can use kind parameter to specify. So all those things we are going to practice one by one. So let's start with the variable, relationship variable between two particular columns. So we're going to just select two particular columns. So in this column, we're going to select total bill, and then that will be in X axis, and then in Y axis, we are going to plot the tip, this column. So we're going to take these two columns. Okay. So in X, we are going to plot total bill. So for that, we have to simply say X axis with the value, the name of the column, label of the column. And in Y axis, we are giving the name of the column. And then what the data is going to be taken from the tips data frame, right? We have to first, normally in other plotting, in Matplotlib, Pandas and all, we will save it as a data frame. And then from that data frame, we will call the person. In Seaborn, we have to pass the data frame as a parameter. So the data frame, the data is saved in the tips. So we're just calling that because we are just loading it from Seaborn itself directly. So now you can see this plot the relationship between total bill and tip. Okay. So if it is $16, $1 tip, $10, $34, $10, $1 tip, $21, $3 tip, like that. This gives the relationship for the $50, $10. So you can just see the relationship from the data available. And normally the Pandas, you might be familiar with Pandas, the value count method, all those things. So you can use that to see how many, so you can see the time, the column, particular column. With that, if you specify value counts, what it will do, how many values are there, and what are the different types of value. For example, if you see time, there are only two options are available, dinner and lunch. So when you apply value counts on the tips data frame, tips dot, and we are specifying time. Okay, time, then it will say value counts as 2. So in case if you want to select one more, this yes or no, smoker, that has only whether smoker or non-smoker. So only it has 2 values. Okay, even that when you apply the value counts, it will say non-smoker 151 and smoker 93. So value counts will specify features, number of categories, and the quantity value of each category. So it speaks about both quality, the quantitative information, numerical information, and categorical information. How many categories are there for the particular column, and the number for each category can be retrieved by using value counts method. Okay. For example, let's take one more category, this day category. Okay, how many days they are they are just looking at. For that, let's take the day column, and then let's look at the value counts for that to see the categories, number of categories, and also the numerical information on each category. If you see tab, you can see that will appear. Since it is default function, it will appear. I'm going to try this. When I run this, we can see this data set only has the data for Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday. So there is no Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday to Wednesday information is not that. Okay. So like that, we can get the categorical information and the numerical information on each category. Okay, now we're going to see how we can add more features. Okay, so here we have just discussed about only one feature, like relationship between total and tip by using relationship plot. If you want to include more than one feature, for example, in addition to the total bill and tip, we want to include smoker and time information. Okay, so total bill, tip, smoker, and time. So when it gives the total bill, it also has to speak about whether like the smoker, and also it has to speak about the time of the meal. Okay, so how to do that? How to include multiple feature in graph? So in addition to X and Y axis, you can give the smoker column, since it has only 2, yes or no, non-smoker, you can specify that as a hue parameter, hue attribute, and that will differentiate the feature by color. Okay, all blue color. So if you speak about, if you take this blue star, that means the total bill is 10. It speaks about four information. One is the total bill for this point is $10, and they have tip $4. So 2 information is covered. And the third information is it is blue. Blue means it is smoker. And also it gives these 2 styles. Bulletin style means lunch, and this X means dinner. So that person took the dinner. Okay, dinner. They had their meal as a dinner, and then it is smoker. Okay, so similarly, if you take this column, it speaks about 4 information, around $35, and they have paid $7 tip for that, and it is non-smoker, and they took lunch. So it speaks 4 information. The relationship of 4 columns can be given in each single point. Okay, so like this, you can cover how many variables you can use this attribute. You can use the color attribute, shape attribute, size attribute is also there. We see one by one. Like that, you can include to differentiate with each column. Okay, this is another one which here we are just speaking about tip and bill, and then we spoke we excluded the smoker information. So when you do that, then the lunch and dinner, instead of in shade, it has been differentiated with the color. You can also use the size attribute as also. Okay, so there are different kind of attribute: color, hue, and then style, and also size attribute we can use to differentiate each column. Okay, you can see here. Here I have added almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we have covered 5 column information here. Okay, so one, tip, smoker, date, time, except size, we have covered everything. Yeah, even size, we have covered size. Okay, all 5 attributes, 1, 2, 3. Let me check it again. Total bill, tip, smoker, yeah, gender. Excluding the gender information, we have done all other information. Okay, so here you can see we have used all these 5 attributes to specify 5 different features. Okay, so we are differentiating the size of the bulletin, size with the size. That speaks about how many people were there. Okay, the number of people, that is differentiated with the size. And this style has been differentiated for lunch and dinner, and the smoker non-smoker information is differentiated with this color. Instead of smoker and non-smoker, if you want to specify the gender, we can do that by this. Now you can see this has information has differentiates the gender information instead of smoker non-smoker information. Like that, you can just include your column, and you can use the Seaborn's attributes, hue, size, and style attributes to differentiate it in addition to X and Y. What if you want to include everything in the given data set in your graph? For example, here you can see it speaks about 6 different features: total bill, tip, gender, smoker or non-smoker, day, time, size, number of people. Okay, so if you want to include all this information, then still it is possible. Hue, you can differentiate the smoker, non-smoker with hue, and then you can add one more attribute called call attribute. This call attribute will create different graphs. For example, here if you specify call as inside the call, if you say time, there are only 2 times, right? Lunch and dinner. So that will be created as separate figure. If you want to specify the size as the call attribute, then it will for each number of people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, how many 1, how many 2 people are graphs are there, that will be differentiated as the column. So in this code, you can see total bill is covered in x-axis, tip is covered in y-axis, and the third attribute, smoker, covered in hue, and then call, the 4th one covered, and the 5th one covered, and the size is also covered in the size of the bullet. Okay, so all 6 attributes have been covered here. All 6 variables have been covered, and you can just interchange here. Instead of doing the time as the call attribute, I have specified size. There are 6 different sizes of that. That's why you see 6 different graphs. Okay, and if you do, this graph is not that much readable, so if you want to make it readable, you can use call wrap or row wrap attribute. So when I specify call row wrap attribute, so that will make it to wrap it into 3 columns, okay, and 2 rows. You can even use row wrap 2. Okay, that will do the same thing. So that now it is kind of little bit more clear. Okay, so that is about different kind of attributes that we can use in Seaborn. Whatever I have discussed for REL plot can be applied to all different kind of plotting: scatter plotting, cat plot, box plot, swarm plots, all different kind of plotting. You can use all these attributes. Next, we'll discuss about categorical plotting. There are different kind of plotting that we can apply, very suitable for categorical related information. For example, if you look at this data set, tips data set, the gender information, smoker information, and day, dinner, these 4 are categorical information. Total bill, tip, and size, these are numerical information. So if you want to focus on categorical information, let's take the day. that is the Sunday, Monday, that the day of the Sunday, Monday, the week information, weekday information, and the total bill information. Let's take these two. And if you apply categorical plotting for this, because one of these two, one of the given data is categorical related data. So if you use cat plot method, that will help us to plot this categorical data. Always the categorical data should go to x-axis. So here we specify the day in x-axis and the total bill, this in y-axis, okay, numerical information in y-axis and data. You can see that gives this categorical plotting. Okay, so this many total, this number of bills for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So from this, what you can get, in Saturdays, there are more business happens on Saturday, and Friday, less business comparatively. Okay, so if you want to change that category, it doesn't need to be exact. Generally, it will be like that. But even if you can change, you can change it. If you specify X in total bill and Y for day, that will make it like the vertical plotting. The horizontal plot, vertical will be converted as horizontal plotting. Okay, it doesn't make any difference. Just the view direction will be changed. Okay, next, what are the other attributes of that is suitable for this kind of categorical plotting? We can use jitter attribute. The jitter attribute, what it will do, it will just take away the redundancy. That is, it will just stick to one line, taking away all the redundancy. Okay, it will just make it linear like this. The spread will be made linear. For that, you have to specify jitter false. If you specify jitter true, let's see, that is by default, it is true. You can see by default it is true. If you want to make it linear, then you have to say jitter false. And then kind attribute is that the kind attribute corresponds to the name of the categorical axis level plotting function. Like different options are there for kind, like strip, swarm, box, violin, box and point, bar, and count. We're going to see almost all of them. First, let's see how the swarm kind looks like. We'll see most of the different plotting one by one later on, but we'll start with swarm plotting. So when you specify the kind as swarm, here we are in any kind of plotting, as I have mentioned before, you can always use any of the attributes that are in this. You can even use hue, size, or style. Any of the attributes you can use in any kind of plotting. Okay, so here I'm going to apply the swarm plotting, where for day against the tip, and then the size. Now the size, that is how many people are there, that is covered because we have mentioned it as a swarm plot. So when you specify the swarm plot, this is how it will look like. Okay, so each plotting, each point represent the day also. For example, if you take this red dot, that says that it is Sunday and the tip is $7 and the size is 4 people. Okay, and if you do bar, if you specify the kind as bar here, if you specify bar, then this is how it will look like. The day, the tip, and the bar, number of people in the bar. Okay, then order attribute. The order attribute has the list element. Okay, so you can use the order attribute to change the order that appears here. For example, here in X, you specify smoker or non-smoker. In Y, you specify tip. In X, by default, it will say yes or no. But if you want to change the order, then you can pass that as the list element. You can say no and no, yes. Okay. So if you want to change it, if you want to keep the yes first, then you can say smoker order is going to be yes and no. Like that, you can change the order. Okay. And by using, as I have mentioned before, kind has different kind of plotting, like how you in the pandas and MATLAB, we can use the kind parameter to specify different kind of plotting. You can use the kind parameter to specify different plotting here as well. So I'm going to specify the box plot. Box plot, you have to say kind parameter value box. So we have already discussed about box plotting before in the pandas. So box plot gives 4 values. Okay, it's like minimum value, maximum value, median value, first quartile value, third quartile value. So if you don't know how it works, please refer section 2 video tutorial where I have explained that. Okay, so I will give you the high level detail here. Min and maximum. For example, if you take this, the minimum value here, each plot gives 5 information. This speaks about minimum, which is 1. And this speaks about maximum. Here in this plot, it is 7. And this is the median value. The median value is 5. And this is the first quartile value, which is 2. And this is the third quartile value, that is 4. Okay, if you take this here, this data, this speaks about female information, Sunday, and minimum 1, less than 1, maximum 7, fourth quartile 4, and the first quartile is around 3, and median value is 4.5. So all these 5 information can be retrieved when you specify box plotting. Here I have used the hue for gender, so it gives 2 information. Even if you don't want it to be separate like this, if you want to include it inside, and also you want to include the gender information inside that like this, instead of splitting like this separately, you can specify dodge false. If you say dodge false, then it will just put it separately. Okay, so if you say dodge true, then it will just make it as a separate plotting. Okay, so that is about dodge parameter. There is another attribute called split attribute that is kind of do the same thing. When you say split true, then it still speaks about 2 attributes with the hue. Okay, hue. When you say hue with some value, attribute value here, gender, and when you say split, then it will pick those 2 values, male and female value, and put it together in the violin. Here I've used the kind violin plotting. So it just will mix it together like this and specify the graph plot like this. If you say split false, then it will just keep those 2 plots separately for male and female, and it will look like this. Okay, so what is the difference between dodge and then split? So if you say dodge true, then it will not split it. It will make it as 2 separate plots. But when you say split true, then the splitting will be like this. Okay, one half to other, and another half of the volume will be for other attribute value. Okay, so we have so far we have discussed a lot of attributes. Maybe at the end of this section, I'll give you the review on what are the attributes that we have covered. So next we're going to see swarm plotting. So either you can use the kind attribute and say kind equal to swarm like this, or you can even use the swarm plot. That also will do the same thing. Instead of using kind parameter, you can use swarm plot directly as a method. Okay, that is also possible. So almost all these data visualization library use the same rules for color, the color string notation, everything kind of mix and like match. You can use the color attribute, style attribute, everything will be kind of similar. The attribute names will be similar. Next, we're going to see how to merge 2 different plotting together. Here, cat plot with kind violin. You can see this violin plotting here. And then I'm doing this, I'm calling the swarm plot as well. And in that case, here the X and Y attributes should be same. When you combine these 2 together, the X and Y attributes should be same. But in swarm, how it looks like, in violin, how it looks like. Okay, so you're just merging it to give a little bit more visible representation. Okay, so next we're going to speak about distribution, how we can bring in the distribution detail in the plotting. Okay, so dist plot is a method that is available in Seaborn that will help us to explore the distribution of plotting. Okay, So it focuses more on to see how the data is distributed among the data set. Okay, so here we have discussed about, here I'm just using XNS. So the distance plot normally help you to find the distribution of the data in a particularly in one single column. Okay, how the data is distributed on one single variable. For example, if you take the tips data set, the total bill information, how it is getting distributed, to give that visual representation using this plot method here, it will look like histogram. It's like a histogram one, where you can specify the bins, attributes to specify the number of bins, the size of the bin, and then you can specify color attribute and KDE. You can set it true or false. If you set it true, okay, let me set it false first and specify this. For the total bill, so from 1 to 50, it has been distributed, and you can look at the size. You can see the around 12, the total bill is mostly around 18. 18 is the highest variation. Okay, and if you look at the tips, the highest, like normally most of the people will tip around $2. Okay, so these kind of information you can get when you do this plot with histogram. And here you can see it will be like give you the histogram, the frequency information, density information. You can see here the peak is 2, okay, around 2. That means most of the tips will be around $2. Here, most of the total bill will be around $18. Okay, those kind of information can be retrieved. So here I have just done some random plotting. I have just done some random 100 numbers, and see, most of when you do the random number generation, it will be like the standard normal deviation. It will be in this shape. Okay, the standard normal deviation shape. Okay, next we're going to discuss about joint plot. So Seaborn provides this joint plot method, which will help you to find the histogram. So here we have done the single histogram with the disk plot. If you want to combine two different variables and want to watch the histogram of these two variables separately, then you can use joint plot. Okay, here X total bill and Y is the tip. Joint plot, I'm just following X. This is X in total bill, and Y will be for tip. Okay, so here when I apply joint plot, automatically it will create the histogram of that. Let me run it again. You can see here you can find the pattern. So you can see the pattern that the positive relationship between the total bill and tip. Okay, because when the one variable changes, the tip also most likely to change. Okay, so this also gives you the relationship between the data set and also how the variation of one affect the another. So both can be visualized here when you apply joint plot. So with the joint plot, you can even other attributes like kind attribute or other attributes. Here kind attribute, here I'm just plotting between again total bill and tip, and see how in hexabin it can be visualized. And then if you apply KDE, how it can be visualized as a density plotting. Okay, and what are the PLT? Here I'm combined. I have combined two MATLAB and the Seaborn together. In the MATLAB, I have specified to differentiate this markers. Okay, to differentiate this marker. This is for X and Y specifies the total bill and tip, but I have added the scatter plot as well, just to make sure. This red one is joint plot and the blue one is the scatter plot, and this one is the histogram. So here we are just combining three different plotting methods to do the comparison between two columns. Okay, to give more in-depth visualization, in-depth understanding. Okay, so like this we can combine different plotting to do analysis on particular variables. Okay, next we're going to see about the REGL plot and IM plot, REG plot. regression plotting, and then implot. So regression plot always helps you to give you the single relationship, where implot will combine the regression relationship with the phased grid method. Okay, for example, let's say here I have just used implot method. And you can see total bill against tip. So when I do the regression plotting, you can see it's kind of both will look similar, but the thing is like you can combine multiple information here. You can combine the regression plotting with phased grid, okay, to show the multiple fit of mapping. Okay, so if you use the call, you already know the call attribute where you can specify different number of graphs. Each number specifies the column attribute. If you say call as date, and then you can see we already discussed saw that in the data set Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? So for each day, how the tip varying. Okay. So if you want to do it for a time, for the same implot, we can say time. So that will speak about dinner and lunch. That will give you 2 plots. Okay, dinner, lunch. Okay, you can combine. You can even use the statistical of your own. For example, if you want to see the percentage, this data set doesn't give you the data, the percentage, but if you want, you can add it as a new column. For example, here I'm creating a new column, tip percentage, where I am adding the tip divided by the total bill minus tip. Okay, so this one gives you the tip tip percentage. So I'm just adding it to the data set. Okay, like that you can create your own column by performing some mathematical statistical calculations. So here I'm using board plot, again this new data column that we have created against day. Okay, so that specifies that most of the tip percentage gives the Sunday is the mostly gives the more tip. Okay, and here I have added the third attribute, time. Okay, so we are just discussing about the advanced options, but whatever we have discussed on plot and MATLAB, you can still those base facilities are there in C1 as well. For example, if you want to, for this new added column, if you want to apply the histogram, then you can just select that particular column and apply the hist method and specify the hist so that you can look at the histogram. If I say hist 5, then you can see it doesn't give you much information. 50, you will get this, and then if we say 100, you can see that will make it a little bit linear, so that gives a little bit more information. And when you perform density for that, instead of hist, if you apply the density method, that will give you the frequency value. Okay, the density is higher around this. Okay. So next we are going to discuss about pair plot. The pair plot will give you the multiple version, bivariant distribution in the data set. The diagonal plots are the univariant plots, and this displays the relationship for n, 2 combination of variables according to the given data set. For example, if you want to do the pair plot for the tips data set, they have applied the pair plot and tips and then KD as a plotting. Okay, you can see total bill, tip, size, and tip percentage. You can look at this, how the pair plot works. It gives the bivariant distribution among each feature. Okay, that is pair plot. And then factor plot, it used to draw the categorical plot in the phased grid. For example, here let's take 2 categories, the smoker and non-smoker category, and you can plot it against here. The X is the day and the tip percentage will be in the Y, and the hue is time, and the column is smoker, and the barcode facilities. Okay, you can see this gives the facial grid with this information. Okay, all the information has been included. Then again, another factor plot. Let's do it for column smoker, that is yes or no. And also we have other row. We can even, we didn't do this row attribute before. So even you can use the row attribute. You can specify in row, we are going to speak about time. In col, we're going to speak about smoker. So you can see row that deals with the time, lunch, and these dinner. The below is dinner. Again, the column information, that is this one is smoker, non-smoker, and this one is for lunch, and this one is for dinner. Okay, like that you can just differentiate different kind of attributes. Okay, here I have used the box plotting to do the same thing, factor plotting. Okay, these are kind of factor plot and pair plot. These two are kind of violin plot. These plots are very less used comparatively. Mostly the distribution can be very well visible with the regression plotting, and raw real plot are kind of very useful plotting methods. In some cases, when you want to do the combined analysis, then in those cases, pair plotting will be useful. Okay, let's do a small review on whatever we have discussed. I know this particular section is a lengthy one. Let me give a small review so that you can just combinedly analyze. So it's not, it may look like a lot, but the bottom line is we're just discussing about a lot of attributes. Okay, so here we started with the tips data set, and then we have seen how we can pass, we can fit different columns in a plotting by differentiating it along x-axis. One column can be y-axis, and you can say one as a call attribute, one as a row attribute, and then one size attribute, style attribute, and then hue for changing the size, hue attribute. Like that, you can just use these different attributes to fit different columns in single plotting. And then we discussed about different kind of plotting, like cat plot, box plot, swarm plot. Either you can use those plotting methods, or you can pass those values as a value to the kind parameter. Okay, both will work. And then order attribute, okay, where you can change the order. So we have tried all those things. And then some of the less used attributes values are like split and dodge. What are the purpose of those attributes, and how you can combine the histogram with the scatter plotting with the joint plot method. Okay, so how we can do three different plotting on two column variable. Okay, those things we have discussed. And then we discussed about how to create new column and add it in the plotting, histogram plotting, pair plotting, and factor plotting. Okay, that is the end of Seaborn tutorial. Okay, thank you.